Laura Henry, and I am a craft dabbler, and I'm also a Close to My Heart demonstrator. I have two cards to demonstrate for you today in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We're going to be using my Cricut Artistry cartridge and the You Are Here cartridge, along with some other Close to My Heart supplies. I have the physical cartridge for the Artistry cartridge, but for the You Are Here cartridge, I got the digital cartridge. And the digital cartridge doesn't come with the nice book with all of the icons in it. And so I've gone onto the Close to My Heart website and I have printed off the listing of all of the icons with all of my Close to My Heart cartridges. They're going to be discontinuing all of the physical cartridges because the Cricut wants to go strictly to digital. And so I'm going to show you in a moment how I went on to the website and I printed those off. But here I'm showing you which icons that I'm going to be using from which cartridge for this project. So I just logged into the Close to My Heart website, and then I went to Shop, and then in the left menu, I selected the Cricut cartridges, and then I just selected the You Are Here cartridge, and then I chose the digital one. And then over on the right, it says to view the shape index. And so I did that, and it makes it a PDF. And this shows the fonts and all of the icons that are on that cartridge. It is in black and white, but really you can make these any color you want. So it really shouldn't be in color or doesn't need to be in color. So I just printed these off and I saved all of them. So let's begin the project today. So here's the project again, and I'm going to go to the design space and show you the icons that I used. I didn't end up using that Grand Canyon one. That was just supposed to be for words. I used the shopping trip from Close to My Heart, You Are Here, and also You've Got This is from You Are Here, and the ribbon is from Artistry, and I took the shopping bag off of the girl. So now let's assemble our card. So I started with You've Got This, and I'm going to be adhering the layers together, and I've put the dimensions at the end of the video, so I won't go into that right now. But I'm using a piece of the Raspberry Heart Adventure Fundamental Pack to on the top there. And this is last year's paper, although it's very similar to this year's paper. It's the same colors, just a little bit different patterns. And then I'm adhering that to a piece of black cardstock, and you could just cover the whole front with a piece of black cardstock, but I did it this way. So I will give those dimensions at the end. And I'm just gonna have a little bit of white border around each one of my squares or rectangles. And so I'm just lining that up as straight as I can. And then the next piece is a piece of love paper from the Whimsy Fundamental paper pack, and I'm going to adhere it to a piece of black cardstock and then adhere it next to the other rectangle. And I'm using the Tombow permanent tape runner. It's a very strong adhesive, and so it's difficult. It's not impossible to remove it once it's down, but it is very difficult. And I'm using the value pack cards and envelopes. It comes with 50 cards and 50 envelopes in a pack, and the cards are pre-scored. And then I was going to use the tape runner, but then I decided to use my dual action glue pen to adhere the figure to the front of the card. And I just lined her up with the bottom of the page. For the, let's see, next I'm going to glue down the little breast cancer awareness ribbon, and I'm also using the dual tip glue pen for that. And then when I adhere down You've Got This, I wanted the little banner with the cutout this in it to be raised, and so I took the smallest of the tape it's the 3D foam tape, and I cut it in half, and I used the thinnest one, which is 1/4 of an inch wide, And I cut that in half and put a strip along the top and the bottom of that, and then it didn't show up through the cutout letters. But now it's raised, and I think that looks really nice. And so I'm using my dual action glue pen to adhere those words down. And I find this sticks better when you have an ample amount of glue on the back. So I'm just covering it the best I can, and then I'm going to put it there. And from this angle, it's hard to see that word, but in real life, you really can see the little banner that says this. There's enough of that lighter pink behind it that it really does show up. Then I wanted to add a little bit of shine to that breast cancer awareness ribbon, and so I'm using the liquid glass, and I'm just carefully tracing over the edge of it. And then I flicked it to get some of the air bubbles out and just to smooth it out just a little bit. So I just flicked it from the bottom of the page. That does take a little while to dry, so I just set it aside, and I didn't bump into it for a while. So next I'm going to make the card that I call Don't Ever Give Up. And this one is very similar. I have two sections with a black mat behind it, and I'm using again that paper from the Adventure Fundamentals paper pack, which is double-sided, as you can see. And I'm putting more tape on the back of it, and I'm going to put that on another black mat. This time I'm adhering the larger section to the left side of the card. And then this is the polka dot. It's a raspberry color, and it's a polka dot pattern from still the Adventure Fundamentals paper pack. And I'm just trying to line it up as straight as I possibly can, and then I'm using that Tombow permanent tape. And I want to make sure that I get the words right side up. Next, I'm going to use the dual action glue pen, and I'm going to put the two layers of the breast cancer awareness ribbon, glue those together. And I'm putting plenty of glue on the edges of this, and the fine tip on this is perfect for this. And they make another broader tip glue pen, which is good for big areas, but this is really nice for small areas. And so instead of picking that piece up and putting it on top of the back, I actually put the back on top of the front, and then turned it over to make sure that it was on there as straight as possible. And then I'm just giving it a good mush to make sure that it sticks together. Now I'm going to use the foam tape, the 3D foam tape, and this is the 3/8 inch foam tape, just to give this card a little bit of dimension. And so I'm using my microtip non-stick scissors to cut the tape. And this tape comes 2 rolls in a pack, and both rolls are 75 inches each, and one roll of tape is 3/8 inch, and the other roll is 1/4 of an inch wide, and both of them are 1 millimeter tall. So that roll there has lasted me for quite a few projects, and it's very sticky, so it stays on your projects. And then there, I just wanted to show you that's what comes in a package. So when I made this card in Design Space, I make a little background that's the size of my card front, and then I just sized that ribbon to fit centered in the card with a little bit of room around the edge for the matting. And then that right side looked a little empty, so I decided to use one of my thin cut dies to embellish that and just give it a little bit more interest. And I will list all of the supplies. I'll put links in the description below. And in my last video, I was having trouble uploading it and I had everything listed with links, and so I removed all of the links and just put a link to my website, and I wasn't sure if that's why it uploaded better or not. So I'm going to try to put the links below and where you can go to get each item. Hopefully that'll work. So I'm just running that border thinlet through my Cuttlebug in a piece of black cardstock. And that whole piece, if I use the whole thinlet, it's a little bit longer than what I need it to be. So it's not going to be as long as that whole thin cut is. And I'm just sitting that to the side. And while I have my Cuttlebug out, I'm going to cut that circle for the saying. And I'm using the 2-inch circle from the thin cut circles. There's 4 circles that come in that set. And I probably use my Cuttlebug in just about all of my videos because it's something that I use very frequently, and it is just so portable and handy, and so I use that a lot. So now I'm going to use the saying, "Don't ever give up," and that comes from the stamp set Stronger Together, which is a limited time stamp set, and all of the proceeds from that stamp set goes for disaster relief because of the recent hurricanes in Florida and Texas. And so it has a lot of encouraging sayings on it. And so I highly encourage you to take a look and purchase that stamp set. So I used that on the circle, and I'm going to, I picked up the wrong uh, uh, adhesive. That one was empty. And so I'm just going to adhere that to the center of the ribbon, and then I'm going to use the dual action glue pen to as adhesive for that little embellishment, and I'm just sticking it into that smaller rectangle. And so there are the 2 cards we have, and I'll leave the information after the previews of the cards where you can buy these supplies. And I thank you so much for watching my video, and I would be more than happy to sell these supplies to you at my website.